Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another video review. This time we're going back to the bidet seat category with the Luxe Bidet. This is the Neo 185 Plus series bidet. This has both a rear and feminine wash. This has a self-cleaning cycle, and it's fully manual, no power, no electrical requirements, a simple bidet seat attachment that makes any toilet into a bidet toilet, to be honest. The beautiful thing about this is it fits probably about any toilet out there, as long as you have an elongated bowl, and you probably don't have to make any modifications. Now, I will say on my specific toilet seat, the bolts I had for the seat were really short, actually had no room. So I actually went to the hardware store. I just popped one of those bolts out, went to the hardware store, got a bolt that was longer, and then came back, used the same nuts and everything. Pretty inexpensive. I think it cost me like $2 or whatever it was to buy two bolts that were a little bit longer because they were a little short. If you want to see the installation, I do have an install video on this one, but other than that, let's get into the review. Hey folks, welcome back to techgooch. So Luxe Bidet, this toilet seat is, or bidet seat, is unique. And that's coming from a person that's done a lot of bidet seat reviews. Now, every single one I've done up to this point have been electric bidet seats, meaning they're fancy. They have dryers in them, they have heated seats or heated water heaters essentially built into them to heat the water up. They are lovely. The bad thing about them is, and this is what everybody that's ever talked to me that does not have one and kind of maybe not or doesn't want to go down that road because of the cost. They're expensive. When you go to an electric bidet seat, you pay for all the niceties. Now, there are some less expensive ones that are actually getting better, and I actually recently did a video on one, and I loved it. However, you're still talking $200, right? $200 for a bidet seat is not, it's still not everybody can afford that. Let's just be honest about it. The other thing is they require a power connection. I would argue that if you have an older home, you do not have an electrical outlet anywhere near or around the toilet, which means you have to either pay to have one install one yourself if you know what you're doing, or at least temporarily run a extension cord, which is not recommended. It makes, you kind of get yourself in a pickle because the seat is one cost, but adding the electrical outlet, it's another cost. Enter this guy. Now there are a lot of, and I have seen multiple in the past, bidet seats on the market that are manual, like this guy is. No power needed, just goes in and you have your water jets. The neat thing about this is one of those things that I require from any bidet seat that I would ever install personally. It has to have a self-cleaning cycle. I want it to kind of clean the head off because the last person that used it, I don't want the spray from them affecting my spray. So this has a self-cleaning cycle. Now you have to run it each time because there's no power in here for it to automatically do it. You have to do it. That said, it self-cleans itself. And then you still have the rear and the feminine wash as well. Now there's no dryer on this, there's no electricity to do a dryer. So no matter what, you will have to use toilet paper. I would argue most people are going to. You don't necessarily have to, you can put your damp butt back in your pants, but that said, you're using way less toilet paper than you would if you didn't use a bidet. That's number one. And number two is that section of toilet paper you're going to use isn't for wiping stuff off of you. You may have a little bit left over that you're getting off, but you're getting it off with a wet toilet paper. And the nice thing is, even if you're using that really cheap Scott's toilet paper, it makes it more enjoyable because it's dampening that and making it a little bit better. And really, all you're using it is to remove the dampness off your bottom so that you put yourself back in less wet. So, without further ado, we're going to jump into my restroom where I have this installed and we're going to talk about it because there is one thing about this that this does way better than probably any electric toilet seat on the market today. This is my toilet right here that I actually have it installed on. It's a toilet that doesn't get used all the time, but has been used a decent amount with this guy. Now, elongated bowl, that's number one, right? Now, I did say that the bolts back here, I did have to buy longer bolts for. Also, with cleaning this guy, I'm going to mention this as well, you can lift this up. I do have saran wrap on here, so we're going to turn this guy on. I'm going to get a little bit closer here when I do that. But in order, you know, you can lift this up. That way you can clean the bolt better, easier as well. They do have different shim sizes, so if you need to raise the seat up or whichever, or change the thickness of it, they do have different shims there, and that's dependent on what toilet seat and stuff you're using. So that said, basic controls, but let's get a little bit closer before we talk about that. Okay, so behind the knob that's toward the back of the toilet, this is the one that actually tells you, or at least lets the toilet know what you want to do. So for instance, if I turn it all the way to the clockwise, this is nozzle clean. So if I turn, this is basically water pressure, or, you know, water valve, and then this is the mode select. So if I have it on nozzle clean and I turn it on, you can see that it's actually cleaning the nozzles. Both the feminine and the rear wash nozzles are being cleaned. Then I can turn the water off, and then I can change the mode. Now I can also leave the water on and change the mode at the same time. It doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong way to do that. So you could start nozzle clean, start by getting the water pressure where you think you want it, if you want it low or you want it crazy. Now I will say this, at least on my water pressure here, just a little goes a long way. So just getting it to where it starts coming out is pretty much as I need typically for washing my bottom. The last little bit here, it doesn't change the spray a tremendous amount. It has a lot of pressure right away. So I will say that. But let's get to the rear wash, because that's probably why you're here. So click this to rear wash. I'm gonna start as slowly as possible. As you can see, it's putting out quite a bit, a nice constant spray. And if I increase it, now you'll notice that once I increase it to a certain point, it doesn't get very much heavier. So right there, and then to the end, it's not a tremendous amount of difference. There is a little bit of difference, but it's not tremendous. Now, same thing goes if I go to feminine wash. Think of it as the same thing, just aimed a little bit different. So that's the big item. But that said, it's amazing how well this works. The big thing is, remember, it's not heated water. It is whatever the temperature of your city water supply or your well that you're on, that's the temperature the water is going to be. So it is brisk. But I will say, after the first time I used it, it was, whoa, that's chilly. Of course, we're coming out of winter, you know, we're in early spring. That said, since then, especially during the summer, I can see this as being super refreshing. But in the middle of winter, probably a little bit more of an annoyance. However, I got used to it. Even when it was still cold outside and the heat was still on in my house, using this actually wasn't that bad. And of course, before or after, you can do a quick nozzle wash just to make sure it's clean and ready to go. Now you can always like leave it on nozzle clean, so when the next time person that comes in, when they turn it on, it's doing a nozzle clean first thing, so they don't forget about it, and then they can choose. But of course, you're gonna make sure you want to tell people how to use it. So the Neo 185 Plus, we're already back about $58, $57.99. This one is white with chrome knobs. You can also get it with kind of a gold knob as well as with a white knob. They're all three of the same price. They're all the same product. Now they do offer the Neo 185 series. Doesn't have the Luxe or the Plus. I believe it doesn't have the flip up, the easier clean design. It still has self-cleaning. But that one's are like around 46, I think, 46 bucks. So there are options. This is less than $100 for what it is. It's easy to clean around by lifting that guy out of the way. I love the ease of clean of this guy so that you can keep your toilet bowl clean without having to remove the bidet seat to do it. Easy to install, different shim heights, so depending on how you want it laid out, things like that. So they call it, I guess they call it slide-in installation, and that's what it does. You can literally, if your bolts are long enough, you can just loosen your bolts up, lift the seat without removing it, and slide this guy into place. That's the beautiful thing about it. And then, of course, it has the self-cleaning mode, what they call the 360 degree clean, because it's literally pouring water around both the feminine and the rear wash to clean both of those off simultaneously. So no matter which way you go, it's going to give you a fresh clean. You have, on top of all of that, the quality of build is actually pretty solid. But the big thing is the water pressure. The water pressure that you get out of this is amazing. This will clean your bottom better than probably any other bidet seat that I have ever tested, because the water pressure is second to none. This thing is crazy awesome. And you can crank it up if you want to. I never cranked it to 11. I'd say I did for testing purposes one time, but that was just too much for me. I liked the lower pressures. It was fine for me, but it definitely cleans well. So it doesn't take nearly as long as some of the electric ones to clean your rear end off. So that is the big plus with this guy. So that is the Luxe Bidet's Neo series, the Neo 185 Plus. Like, comment, share, subscribe if you come for me. Now, I will have a link to this in the description where you can check it out on Amazon and decide for yourself if you think that this is something that you would like to have. I will say, if you're looking to have a bidet that will clean you very, very well, you don't necessarily need heated drying, and you don't have an electric outlet by your toilet anyway, this might be one to consider because it's pretty awesome. Thank you for watching to the end of this video. Like I said, comment below, let everybody know what you think, or if you have one of these, fantastic, please let people know below. Or maybe you have a different series even. But yes, I have to give this guy 2 thumbs up for what it is. It's pretty awesome. I will say that I do miss the heated water and miss the drying, but that said, definitely not a necessity. And I think, to be honest, during the summer, this would feel very, very good. So thanks for watching to the end. Catch you here on techgooch for another future video review. We'll see you soon. Make sure you watch the full setup video if you want to see this guy being installed. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.